What's up, YouTube? It's your boy OGJ, repping the H like we do all day. And I had just finished the new Spider-Man game yesterday, but I wanted to go on and put out my review today. So today's September 16th. The game came out about a week ago. You know, I'm a pretty busy person, so it took me about a week to beat it. But I'm not gonna lie, it was a fun game. It was really fun. Now I'm not gonna lie, I have a couple gripes about it. Okay, but first I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna list all the good things I liked about it. So the first thing I want to get off my chest is the combat system. Now looking at it in the E3 trailers and the game trailers and the stuff that they're releasing, I was thinking that the combat system would be very, very, boring, like repetitive. I felt like it was gonna be fun at first, then over a period of time it was just gonna be repetitive. And you guys that played the Arkham series, you guys kind of know what I'm talking about. Because if you could get it down in Arkham, man, nobody was touching you. You would just block everything or counter everything. But I'm not gonna lie, the combat system in Spider-Man, it's hard, man. I was dying a bunch of times. I was dying a lot in the game, especially on the boss fights. So it was actually challenging. Like, I actually had to consciously think about what move I was gonna do, and I had to think about all the different enemy types. Like, I kept on forgetting with the big bruiser dudes that they would come at you 3 times. So I would just dodge once, and then he would put a 2-piece on me with a side of fries. I'm like, where'd this come from? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. Then you had the dudes with the whips, you had the swords, the shield, the guy with the guns. There was just so many different enemy types, and I liked how they had different variety and how they would send them at you. So definitely, I'm gonna give the combat aspect of the game A+. Okay, the next part I'm gonna give A+ to is the story. The story was great. I mean, I'm not gonna even lie, I really enjoyed the story. I didn't think it was gonna be very emotional, but there was a part in the middle. So let me go and let you guys know the beginning part's gonna be spoiler free, but towards the end I'm gonna talk a little bit more spoilers. So there was a part in the middle at the Osborn, when Osborn was giving his speech at City Hall. You guys that played the game, you know what I'm talking about. That part was emotional. I did not expect to have feelings like that to a character I had just met, but for some reason that hit home. And you guys, I don't even need to talk about the end. You guys already know. I didn't cry, but I was damn near. I'm gonna talk about it towards the end though, but the last part was sad and I was not expecting it. But the story was A+, the dialogue and the acting was an A++. I mean, the way they spoke to each other, the emotions, especially the final boss fight, the emotions you could hear in their voices, and the ending part, it was just so detailed. And whoever wrote the script and whoever wrote the story, period, give yourself a round of applause, man. Give yourself a round of applause. Marvel needs to hire you to make the new Spider-Man movies, because that was really great. Okay, and let me think of some more aspects I liked of the game. Another aspect I liked of the game was another aspect I liked of the game was the conflict. Okay, so this isn't really this is kind of going towards story, but there was an internal conflict throughout the entire game where you had Peter's personal life interfering with his Spider-Man life. And it wasn't really detailed throughout the game, but people that really notice storytelling, they could really see it, and you could just see it clashing and clashing and clashing. And I like how they didn't fully address it, but I liked how they let whoever the person playing the game was figure it out for themselves. If they figured it out, then they figured it out. If you don't figure it out, it's all good. You can still enjoy the story. So I thought that was a great aspect of it too. So I'm gonna go ahead and give my full review before I give into I'm gonna go and give my rating of it before I go into the negative parts of the game. So I am gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. Because the flaws to it, I think, take away from it a little bit, but it's definitely an above average game. And in my opinion, it's the best Spider-Man game to come out to date. Possibly even the best superhero game to come out to date, but I'm still gonna have to put Arkham City ahead of it. Alright, so things I didn't like about it. Okay, now this is gonna kind of go into spoilers. Dr. Octopus, Dr. Octavius, they were doing a great job building him up at the beginning. like, him doing like little pieces, him building his tentacles. It was building up slowly but surely, and I was like, I like how it's moving. It's not moving too fast, but it's moving at a moderate pace. But I feel like when it got to the point where he had fully made the tentacles and he kind of snapped on Peter a little bit, at that point I said, okay, they're rushing a little bit too much now. They're rushing a little bit too much, but I said it was still good. But the point that I really thought that they rushed it at was that whenever the main bosses had broke out of the raft, and I'm in the trailer, in the E3 trailer, I'm trying to figure out, man, who's behind this. I'm thinking it was maybe Osborn, but come to figure out it's Dr. Octavius. So I'm saying, so he just went from building the tentacles to breaking out supervillains out of the raft and building a super team. And they didn't even detail how he got to them, how he gave them the information on what he wanted to do, how he promised. They didn't build none of that up. It just threw you straight into it. And I really didn't like that because I thought they were doing such a good job pacing it. I felt like it would have been better if maybe Octavius maybe came to Peter and was like, Peter, I want you to tell Spider-Man, to join me to take down Octavius, something like that. And Peter's like, no, he's not going to do that, and then he's going to be like, all right. And then you just see it build off, and then he goes off and do that, and then he attacks Spider-Man, because he said, if he's not with me, then he's against me. I feel like that would have been better. But just him straight up just, breaking all of them out and everything, I feel like that was way, way, way too rushed. Okay? Another thing I didn't like about the game was the stealth. I mean, it's not like a big gripe, but like the stealth parts of it, I feel like they could have made it so much better. Like, you didn't have to make it like Arkham, but when you were Batman and you were stealthy and you were like, grappling, like you felt like the Dark Knight. Spider-Man, I know he's not known for his stealth, but I just feel like they could have made that a lot better. Another thing is, it had too many things that were similar to the Arkham series, like to the towers with you doing the frequency thing. That was similar. To the what else was similar? To the hypnosis scene where Scorpion stung Spider-Man and he started hypnotizing him. I could have seen maybe if something emotional had happened during that period when he was not hypnotizing. What's the word? You know what I'm talking about. When he was going, he was tripping out. Whenever he tripped, I felt like they showed something emotional, but it wasn't. It just was the past time, and it felt so. It felt like just like in the first Arkham game where Scarecrow had sprayed Batman. Like it just felt too forced. It felt like, okay, now you guys are kind of going too much the Arkham side. Another thing I didn't like about the game was the side missions and stopping the heist and stuff. There was a Spider-Man game that they had back on the PS2 and the GameCube and stuff. The thing I loved about that game was that you helped civilians. I just love that. Civilian, maybe you need to break them out of, they're in a fire. You help them get out. They maybe got hurt. You got to swing them to the hospital. There was someone got robbed. You got to go chase the robber. Little things like that. This is your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. This Spider-Man, all he was doing was stopping the demons or stopping the escaped convicts towards the end. It wasn't him helping the people. And that's where a lot of the points are deducted from, because it was just like he was just tackling the big stuff. The thing about Spider-Man is he always helps out the little man. He'll help a little girl get a cat out the tree if he has to. That's one thing about Spider-Man that I love, and that why people love him is because he doesn't just concern himself with intergalactic chaos or world domination events. He worries about the small things. If you literally lost your iPhone, he would help you find it. He would literally do that. So I felt like that was one thing that I feel like would have been a small detail that could have changed the whole entire outcome. It was kind of lame, what they did with the Taskmaster thing, all that stuff. In the boss fights, I'm not gonna lie, some of the boss fights were good. That's another positive thing. The boss fights were good. Probably the only weak boss fight that I really didn't like, and I thought that was kind of like, this was weak, was the which one was it? Was the Vulture and the Electro one. I felt like that one was pretty weak. I don't know why, but the Scorpion and Rhino one, ooh man, that was a hard duo to beat. Man, you know, you had Scorpion shooting from the air, you had Rhino run at you, you had to time it perfectly. That was a hard duo to beat. That one was fun, you know. But the boss fights were good, and the Dr. Octavius one, that was really good. I didn't expect that one to be that good, but it was. But you know, I just couldn't figure out how you know, Octavius, he's a normal human. You know, Spider-Man one punch, you're gonna knock him out. You know, that's not no fault on the game or nothing. That's just something I was thinking about while I was playing. And last but not least, let's talk about Aunt May. Peter had to make the ultimate sacrifice at the end of the game. He had to decide whether he wanted to save the city or whether he wanted to save Aunt May. And that's another thing where I was talking about where his personal, his Spider-Man life and his personal life were being intertwined together. And when Aunt May said, "Take off your mask," and she said she knew who he was, man, that hit me deep. That hit me deep, man. And when she said, "You know what to do," and he was about to stab the syringe into her IV, but his Peter side wanted to put it inside, put the antidote inside of her, but his Spider-Man side would not let him. It was just a clash of two. It was like his yin and yang, like how Mr. Negative, he had his yin and yang attacking him. It was the same thing with Peter. His yin and yang was attacking him, and he decided to side with his Spider-Man side, and you know, instead reverse engineered the antidote and saved the city instead of saving the person that meant the most to him. So that definitely was a very touching, and they had some balls to do that, man. They had some balls to do that. Because a lot of games they would have played it safe, you know, save May, save the city, whoop-de-doo, we're all happy. Nope, they decided, you know what, we need to let this character go. You know, she was a big part. You know, you saw her loving health, and you know, it was great to see that one thing: you help someone, you help everybody. You saw that have to play at the end. But man, that's my review on the game. I give it a 7.5. The story was great, combat was great. There's just a couple gripes I had with it. You know, definitely, if you haven't bought the game already, go buy it right now. You'll definitely enjoy yourself. I easily put about like 23 hours into it, maybe. The first time I got it, I played about like 6 or 7 hours. I played for a while. So it was a great game, man. So this is your boy OGJ, repping the H like we do all day. I'm out. Peace.